Hi, my name is Jim Lambright. My wife Stacy and I have been in real estate since 1997. And on this video, we're going to talk about 5 things that every real estate agent must be able to answer in this changing marketplace. And so this is for agents. If for some reason you're not an agent and you're watching it, it's going to be geared towards agent, but it's got good information for you there too. I'm probably going to make another video that's made just for consumers, but this one's specifically for agents. I'm making this video because of what's going on out there in the marketplace right now with the virus and the economy shut down. There's a lot of bad information, a lot of fear mongering, a lot of uncertainty going on, and I'm going to be using data-driven slides here in a little bit that's going to show you what we're doing. One of the things I love about we have revenue share for helping to grow the business, besides the fact that we have stocks in the company, we end up being a shareholder with the company with our publicly traded stock on the NASDAQ, besides the fact that we have a great healthcare plan, besides the fact that we have a lead gen system, and besides the fact that we have the greatest compensation plan of any real estate company out there, I love our collaboration that we have. Our collaboration is incredible. What we see here is the fact that the top agents in the world are called Icon agents with EXP. And as an Icon agent, you get a chance to share your knowledge with all the other 29,000 and counting agents that we have right now. Today's May 1st that I'm making this. I don't know when you're watching it, but and growing, right? And in doing that, for being an Icon agent, we get our cap back, our $16,000 cap we pay in, we get that back in company stock. So I don't know of a better plan out there than that. We've been in real estate a long time. We've been with all the top companies. So let's get into this though. I'm gonna share some slides. I'm gonna look very funny here, staring at the screen for a second as I share my screen. 1 second, this will pull up for you. And this is gonna be called the 5 biggest questions that every agent must be able to answer. I apologize for any lag in the internet and things like that. That's just where we're at nowadays with the way things are going to be with the internet. So let's talk about it, the 5 biggest questions that we have, and here we go. So here they are. Number 1, when is the economy going to recover? When's it going to recover? Are we going into a recession? Is this going to be like 2008? What about all those job losses that are happening? And what should I do right now? I'm going to go through each one of these individually, but I want you to know, first of all, we need to be smart, we need to be patient, but most of all, we need to be safe. And our thoughts and prayers go out to everybody that's been affected with this virus. We're not going to talk about that today. We're going to be talking about specifically about real estate and what's going to be happening to people. Again, if you're a homeowner, I'm gonna be making one for homeowners, but this one's made for agents. You can check it out if you want as a homeowner. There's no secret stuff. But when is the economy going to recover? Well, there's a couple different types of recoveries. There's what's called a V-shaped recovery, a U-shaped recovery, and an L-shaped recovery. And economists all vary on what they think, what type of recovery we're gonna have. See, some major financial institutions are calling for what's called a V-shaped recovery. So what they work off is what's called the gross domestic product. You know, we've got a lot of people out of work right now, and what we're seeing is going to happen. They measure it in quarters, right? January, February, March, April, May, June, right? July, August, you get the idea, right? They do it in quarters. And what they're seeing is the second quarter is going to get clobbered. Now, this data is always a little bit old because we have to take the data from the previous month, right? So we're taking a look at data right now, but looks like Q2 is getting clobbered, but the forecast is for 3 and 4 to come back. And these come from, not from me, by the way, these are all from data driven from very reputable companies, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, Wells Fargo. You can see it right there. That's a V-shaped recovery. Okay, a lot of people are predicting that. But it's worth looking back, according to Harvard Business Review, it's worth looking back at history to place the potential impact path of COVID-19 empirically. Empirically means data-driven, okay? I like looking at data. So in fact, V-shapes, believe it or not, monopolize the empirical landscape of prior shocks. That's including the epidemics such as SARS. Remember SARS? How about the 1968 H3N2, or what was called the Hong Kong flu, or the 1958 H2N2, which was called the Asian flu, and the 1918 Spanish flu. Those were all V-shaped recoveries that came back from that. In other words, it wasn't anything that's going on in the economic side of the country, it was all health driven, right? We had the lockdown to protect our seniors and we had to flatten the curve. And so it was a forced shutdown, not one that was coming because of some type of bad economics that's going on. Does that make sense? So John Burns Consulting is a huge consulting company, very reputable, says historic analysis showed us that pandemics are usually V-shaped, sharp recessions going straight down like a V that recover very quickly to provide little damage to home prices. Now, again, remember, I'm talking to home owners here. I'm a real estate guy. And some very cutting edge search engine analysis by our information management team showed the current slowdown is playing out similarly thus far. So here's my disclaimer. Of course, no one can predict the future, but if we take empirical data and also looked at times in the past when it's been just like this and seen how that's happened, we can get a good idea of what's going to happen. And these people get paid lots of money to study this. And I'm not an economist, if you're wondering, I'm a realtor, but I listen to smart people and I study smart people, okay? So take a look at this. Home appreciation adjustments as a result of the pandemic, okay? It's very important to take a look at here that what we're seeing is, you're seeing in 2020, they were predicting 4.7% appreciation, but now they're projecting for it to be 3%. It's very important to understand this, realtors, and for your people to understand this. What they're reading in the papers is that home appreciation is slowing down. That doesn't mean homes are depreciating. That just means they're going to appreciate a teeny bit slower than what was projected. 2021, then we're going to see the catch up. This is part of the V mark, right? The V recovery. Instead of 3.8% appreciation, we'll see 4.2. And 2022, they're looking at 4.6 appreciation. So to get back to that 5-6% that we've been clipping along here as we're going. So it's going to slow down a little bit because a lot of people are going to have to sit home and stay quarantined on lockdown, right, in our home offices. And then you're going to see it come back as they gradually bring the economy back working. Okay, so let me click right here. Hang on. There we go. So the COVID-19 recession might only be 1 or 2 months old, but a few signs of the always hoped for V-shaped recovery are starting to emerge. That's John Norman. He's the head of the cross-asset fundamental strategy at JP Morgan. That was on April 10th. So they're already seeing signs that they're looking for, that the V-shaped recovery is going to be coming. And that's very important for people. It's important for us as realtors to get this message out to our people because they're nervous. They're scared. Let me tell you a little bit about the media as we go on to this thing. See, the media's job is to get you to stay focused to their news channel. No matter what news channel it is you watch, I don't care which one it is, even if it's a PBS channel, right, which is nonprofit, they're still trying to get you to keep eyeballs on what they have. They want you to share what they have on your social media, right? They need to get views to make money, and that's their job. They're there to make money, and so they are going to try to scare you to keep you locked in, okay? So take a look at Reuters. Reuters did a poll of 45 economists based in the US and Europe. This was just recently taken between April 15th and 20th. Here's when they were asked what type of recovery they were looking for. 22 of those 45, almost half of them, said there was going to be U-shaped. 10 of them said it was going to be V-shaped. 7 said it was going to be checkmark shaped. Checkmark means, yeah, we're going to have a gradual decline, but the comeback is going to be even bigger than where we were at before. That's a checkmark shape. Ooh, that one would be really great. 7 said that. 5 said W-shaped, which means, look, we'll have a recovery. The virus is going to hit us again. We'll end up locking down again, and we'll go down again, and then back up, you know, a W. You get it. And then 1 said it was unknown. So I'm not sure who that person was, but it'd be neat to see who they were. So here's what we're talking about on this one. This is from PricewaterhouseCoopers survey of 50 leaders from a cross-section of industry. So these are business owners, big major business owners. It says this: if COVID-19 were to end today, how long would you estimate it would take for your company to get back to business as usual? So they've been polling them for a while. Well, March 15th, you had 9 out of 10 said it would take less than 90 days. On March 29th, you had 77.5, 76%. So 7.5 of them said that out of 10 would be less than 90 days. And now you have it sitting at right around that 6 out of 10 mark, would say it's going to be less than 90 days. But if you take a look at it, 8 out of 10 say it will be less than 180 days. So it's going to make a comeback. The longer we get into it, though, the longer it's going to take for the comeback to come, right? Okay. So that's what you see out of these industries. Let me go to the next one. So Goldman Sachs said this: if policymakers manage to thread the needle between continued virus control, in other words, keeping our hospitals from being overwhelmed, and a gradual reopening of the economy, the level of GDP, gross domestic product, should begin to move higher in the months ahead. So threading the needle, that's an interesting visual and analogy. Have you ever tried to thread a needle, right? You got your tongue sticking out, you're biting it, and you're trying to push the thread through the hole of the needle. It's possible, right? But if you don't have focused concentration on it and good energy and a steady hand, you can miss the eye of that needle several times before you get it right. So they're talking about threading the needle, and that we should see in the months ahead, gross domestic product moving up. So that's what we're saying. A bunch of economists and business owners are all saying less than 90 days, okay? Question number 2, are we going into a recession? Well, first of all, let's define a recession. A recession means, definition of it is 2 quarters back to back of gross domestic product going down. Okay, that's what it is. That's a recession going on with that. So here's the thing. This is the good news. The answer is yes, we're going to go into a recession. Okay, we are going to go into a recession. There's a slowdown. Lots of people not working. Yes, we're going into a recession. But here's the great news. For homeowners, if you snuck on here, and definitely for realtors, we have to get this word out. A recession does not equal a housing crisis. It does not equal a housing crisis. I'm going to prove it to you with math here in a second, but you have to understand this. People hear the word recession, they immediately think, oh my gosh, the housing market's going to implode. No, it is not the case. It is not the case at all. And the reason they think that is because many people, myself included, I was around the 2008 crash. It's very scary. But many people still bear scars from the Great Recession back in 2007, 2008, 2009. And they may expect the housing market to follow a similar trajectory in response to the coronavirus outbreak. But there are distinct, and I'm going to show them to you, differences that indicate the housing market may follow a much different path. While housing led the recession in 2008 and 2009, this time it may be poised to bring us out. I'm going to take a drink. No, this is not a beer. This is sparkling water, but it looks like beer. That was from Mark Fleming. He's the chief economist at First American. Here's what's important. See, we all remember 12 years ago, 08, right? We got crushed. Realtors, if you were in back then, by the way, for those of you who've been in since 2010 or after, congratulations, welcome to real estate. This is how it goes. It goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down. But you just had a 10-year nice long ride of not having to feel it. We've seen quite a few in our career crashes. I'm going to show them to you here in a second. So take a look at this. We do not have to crash because it's recession. In 08 and 09, housing, many will argue that housing was the reason we did crash. We had the Great Recession because of things that were going on that were not financially prudent, okay? I'm going to show it to you here in a second. But this time, believe it or not, housing might be the thing that actually brings us out of the crash, right? So take a look. I'm going to show you this. Oops, let me get my clicker to work. There we go. With the exception of 2 recessions, the Great Recession of 2007 to 2009, right? That was, most of us call it the 08. And the Gulf War recession in 90 and 91, I was in the Gulf War, thank you, way back then. No other recessions have impacted the U.S. housing market, according to Freddie Mac Home Price Index data. This is data-driven again, guys. This isn't opinion stuff. This is data collected from 1975 to 2018. 43 years worth of data shows that only 2 recessions, okay, impacted the U.S. housing market. None of the others did. I'll prove it to you. Okay, so check it out. Home price change during the last 5 recessions. Take a look back through here. Of course, you see the big 08. Oh my gosh, you got crushed 20%. Some places hit way harder than that even, but 20% pretty much across the board. We're talking about national average numbers. Crushed in 08. Yes, that one was bad. I'm going to show you why, though, in a second here. Look at 2001, right? 2001, when that happened, there was a recession then because of the World Trade Centers coming down. But you know what? Housing up 6.6%. How about 1991? That was the Gulf War. House prices were impacted by 1.9%. Not a huge amount, but yeah, it did go down a little bit, so we'll count that one. But look, 1981 and 1980, savings and loan scandals that were going on back then, no, house prices went up. In fact, 1980, 6% appreciation during that back then. Some of you don't remember that. Some of you weren't even born during that time, but just know that there were interest rates to buy homes back then in the double digits, 14, 15, 16% for some people. So it's a great time to buy a house. Okay, so the answer was to number 2 was yes, we are going to have a recession, but we are not going to have a housing crash. Here's why. Is this going to be like 2008? The short answer to that is no. It is not going to be like 2008 because it's apples and oranges comparison. I'm going to prove it to you right here. Take a look at the run up to 2008. Take a look what was happening with housing appreciation. Take a look at the 6 years leading up to the housing crash. Look at 2000 to 2005. Double digits in 04 and 05 appreciation rates. Look, you had people back then who lived in, let's say, Minnesota. They were buying houses in Fort Myers, Florida, and in Las Vegas and things like that. And they were just buying houses newly built and turning around and flipping them 6 months later and making hundreds of thousands of dollars. They had no person live in them. So one family was buying 5, 6 houses and just flipping them, and the houses were sitting empty and they were still making money because they were doing these crazy negative amortization mortgages where they were getting a $250,000 house and they were paying $200 a month on the interest for 6 months and then flipping it and selling it for 40, 50 grand more. It was crazy during that time and was not healthy. We're not having that right now. Look at 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, these years. Our highest appreciation year in 2017 was 6.4. That is lower than the lowest appreciation during the run-up to the big crash of 07, 08, and 09, okay? So we are very stable numbers over these last couple years. That's important for people to understand. Has it been good? Yeah, it's been real good, but it's been stable good. Not crazy 11.5, 12.5% appreciation. We're not having that. It's nice and stable, 4, 5, and 6%, which is, by the way, real good appreciation. 1, 2, or 3% you can be happy with. 4, 5, and 6, you have to be ecstatic. Anything higher than that, it starts to get a little unstable. We're not in the unstable rate. Let me show you what we got going on here. Why did we have a crash back then? Why were people buying so many houses? What was happening? Well, this is called the Mortgage Credit Availability Index. This is a very important index to take a look at. See, the housing bubble, we were at 868.7. See, almost to 900 back in June of 2006 on the availability of mortgage credit. Look, there were loans back then called liar's loans. Liar's loans where people could come in and they could state their income. They could state their income, how much they were making. They just say it, and the loan officer signed off on it. That wasn't the loan officer doing that. That was set up by the lenders. We called them liar's loans. You could have 2 kids one working at Target, one working at McDonald's. They could come in and say they made 100 grand a year, and it would just get signed off on, and they'd get a house that they couldn't afford. Okay. That is not happening today. Look at the mortgage credit since 09, actually since the middle of 08 when the banks all put the brakes on that lending, all the way through now. The number's at 152. That's the index. It was at 868. We haven't come anywhere close for the mortgage credit availability. Now, you heard in the news, here's what people are hearing in the news. Yeah, but it's getting easier for people to get a mortgage. It has loosened up a teeny bit. It has. We have, but look, nothing crazy, man. A tiny bit since 08 and 09. It's gotten a little easier to get a mortgage, but nothing crazy, man. There's still people have good equity that's going on, and we're super excited about that. Okay, so let's take a look here at this next little piece I want you to see. Check this out. Whoa, went too far. There we go. Okay, so here's what you need to know. See, the difference is a month's inventory of homes for sale. What people don't understand right now is that we have an incredible shortage of homes available for people to buy. See, take a look at the run-up. See, a seller's market means you have less than 6 months of inventory available for people. Buyer's market means it's greater than 7 months. The equilibrium market is between 6 and 7 months worth of inventory. Well, take a look, of course, during the crash. Look at the run up. Look at all the inventory out there. 2010, we had over a year's worth of inventory. What does that mean, a year's worth of inventory? That means if no one else put their home on the market, but buyers continued to buy at the current rate, it would take a year of buyers buying with no one else listing their home for all the inventory to be gone. That's what was happening back in 2010. That was a ton of inventory. We don't have that right now. In fact, we almost have a crisis the opposite direction of not enough inventory. We were down to less than, across the country, less than 3 months inventory for a long time. Here in Central Ohio, it's worse than that. We're down under 6 weeks of inventory. It's been crazy. And why is that important? Because we as realtors have to get the word out that this is not 2008. It's apples and oranges. People are hearing the word recession and they're gonna think, oh my gosh, the Great Recession, I'm gonna lose money. Houses are gonna implode by 20%. No, they're just gonna appreciate a little slower. So you may not be getting that 6% that you were getting before. You're gonna get 3 or 4%, okay? But it's still a good investment. It's not gonna go down. This graph is very important for people to be able to see and for you to be able to explain it. It's very easy to see. We don't have enough inventory still, even right now. On top of that, here's another factor. Back then, people were taking their equity in their homes and they were cashing it in. Oh, they were doing crazy stuff. This is called the total home equity cashed out refinance in billions. Back then, on the run up to the 2008 crash, 05, 06, and 07, 824 billion people took out of their homes to not improve their home, but to buy boats, to go on vacations, join country clubs, all that kind of stuff. So take a look now, though. There's still people doing cash out refis, but look at the amount. A very small amount. In fact, a quarter of what was done back then, 232 total billion. In fact, the 232 total billion of the last 3 years is less than any one single year in the buildup that you're looking at there to the crash. So you don't have people taking out all their equity and doing crazy stuff with it. People learned their lesson, and what you're seeing is much more stable housing market. Here's the other thing people need to understand. There's a lot of equity out there. This recovery that we've had, we've been on this nice run, is that of all the homes in America, at least 50% have at least 50% equity. 53.8%, I'm sorry, have at least 50% equity. That's crazy. Americans are sitting on tremendous equity. Here's an interesting stat. 37% of all homes are owned free and clear. That's right. Look to your right, look to your left. One of those have their homes paid off. 1 out of every 3 Americans has their homes paid off in the clear. So there's no problems there. Here's the other one. 177,000 is the average equity for people that have a mortgaged home. They sit on 177,000 worth of net worth sitting in their home. So even, just so I'm very clear, I'm not predicting, as neither is anyone else, that we're going to have negative, we're going to have values go down in homes. But even if they did, they're not going to, but even if they did, people are still sitting on a ton of equity, okay? A ton of equity, and at least 54% of them have at least 50% equity in their homes. So they're in good shape, even if it did start to go down a little bit, okay? So that was 2008, okay? But some people are gonna say, but what about all those job losses? Here's what's gonna be on the news. The media is gonna be screaming out, on top of course, all the infections and all the deaths, God bless, going out to the families that are out there being affected on that. But they're also gonna be screaming out unemployment numbers. Look, I'm gonna shoot it to you straight. There's never been in the history of our country, historically, where this many people have gone unemployed this fast. It's never happened. So of course it is making news, it is making headlines. There are a ton of job losses and people out there suffering. But here's what we want you to know. Even at a 20% unemployment rate, 80% of people are still employed. I want you to think about that. Of course, 20% is awful. Oh my gosh, it's disgusting, it's sick. Anything above single digits is terrible, Armageddon, and you want to keep it down below 4, 6, 5, and 6%. But 80% are still employed. It's kind of like the glass, is the glass half full, the glass half empty, right? If you take a look at the glass and you lose 20% of it, you still have 80% that's still there, And you got to keep that in mind with people. 80% are still working. And a lot of times the 20%, unfortunately, the people that are unemployed, from a housing standpoint, of course, I don't like seeing anybody unemployed. But from a housing standpoint, a lot of those weren't people that were going to buy houses anyways. So why is this important as realtors for us to get this word out? Because people need to understand this is not going to affect housing the way that you may look at it when you're just reading all these horrific headlines, okay? So I'm gonna take a look at this. I wanna show you this slide right here. So what we're talking about is more depth and less length. Now, what the heck does that mean? Here's what I want you to see when you see this graph. Take a look at this. This brown line right on here, this one you're seeing, the brown one, that's the Great Depression from 1929 to 1942. 13 years of hell on earth that our grandparents and great-grandparents lived through. And what happened is you see the depth. See how far down it dug the unemployment, how big it was? 20+% of unemployment. I mean, I think it hit 25, 26. We'll see it here on the next slide, exact numbers on it. But huge numbers for unemployment. Awful. 1 out of every 4 people out of work. But look at how long it lasted. 12 painful years, over a decade of toughing that out, slogging away at it. Okay, so what we're seeing is from our companies here, well, let's take a look at the Great Recession. So the Great Recession got whacked, right? We had job losses, nothing like what we're seeing right now as far as job losses, but look at the amount of time it dragged out 9 long years. Boo, no good, right? Well, here's what we're talking about. This is what we're talking about. Remember saying the V-shaped recovery, V-shaped recovery? Well, this is what we're looking at. Look at the black and red lines. That's Goldman Sachs projections and JP Morgan projections. Of course, very deep, boom, going down 15, 20% in unemployment. But the recovery coming back in a year or maybe a little over a year, back up, back to normal, back to where we were. That's that V-shaped recovery that we've seen historically happening with other health crises when they weren't mixed in with an economic crisis. And we're not in an economic crisis. The economy was humming along great. It was going along awesome until they said, shut her down. And of course, nobody wanted us to, but we had to. We had to make sure we protect those people that are vulnerable. And we're going to get back to work, and we're going to see that recovery come back, okay? So here's what we want to take a look also, is that unemployment rates and home sales do not have a true direct relationship. See, a lot of people don't realize that. A lot of people think, oh my God, unemployment, that means home sales are going to go down. Well, that's not what the stats show at all. Take a look at 1990, okay? What we see here is that yellow line is the unemployment rate. The unemployment rate spiked back in 1990 and 91. They went flying up there. We had a war going on. It was crazy. Unemployment hit 7.5%. But take a look at housing. What did housing do? Just kept chugging along. Sales kept going on. In fact, they increased. They increased during the unemployment time right there. Okay, they went up. Home sales went up as unemployment spiked. Okay, it doesn't make sense. But again, we're going back to the part that a lot of times the unemployment doesn't affect people that are home buyers. It's a lot of times affects the just people that aren't in the home buying category as far as that goes, right? A lot of times it affects teenagers and stuff like that who are getting their first job coming out and stuff. And it's awful. I'm not downplaying that again, but it doesn't affect housing and direct housing. Look at number 2, right? So number 2, we see right there in the 2001, that's the World Trade Center coming down and the dot-com crash, right? Coming into the millennium and things like that. If you take a look at that, look again, unemployment spiked up, 6% unemployment. But what happened? Housing peaked. Oh my gosh, it went crazy, the number of house sales that were going on during that time. And again, that's right in the middle of a housing or an unemployment spike. Housing sales still go up. Now, you're going to say, aha, but Jim, what about this 2008? Look, I see it on the graph there, 2008, 9.6% unemployment. And look, housing dropped. Housing dropped on that one. Well, let's take a look at what was going on there. Okay, let's take a look at this one right here. Let me pop to the next slide. So if you blow that up a little bit and you take a look during that timeline, that 08, 09, and 2010, what you're going to see is the unemployment rate did go up, but what you're not seeing is the mortgage availability. Look what happened. The banks bottomed out and they overcorrected. They were super lenient on the lending guidelines, and then they got super duper strict. No one could buy. Oh, they were so strict, no one could buy. You weren't getting a mortgage back then. And I remember we were selling houses during that time. It was awful. People wanted to buy, and what would have been a good credit score a month earlier didn't work anymore, and they couldn't buy homes anymore. Okay, so why did home sales go down? Not because of the unemployment. They went down because the mortgage credit availability was just dried up. There wasn't any liquidity. There was no funds. People couldn't get them, and banks weren't going to lend it to you. It was not good. Not a good time at all in there, okay? And if you take a look at this one, number 4, what we're seeing here in 2015 through 2019, what you're seeing is unemployment rates continue to come down. And here's something interesting. So unemployment rates came down, but what happened to housing? It flattened out. Look at number 4 on the graph right there. Number 4 just shows the last couple of years we've just gone through. Unemployment, record low unemployment. For every single demographic category out there, record low unemployment, and house sales flattened. How could that be? Well, it's because unemployment and home sales do not have a true direct relationship. These numbers prove it right here, okay? There we go, there's that one, and we'll go to the next slide, right here. So here's how you wrap it up. What should I do right now? If you're a real estate agent, you're wondering, what should I do right now? Well, number one thing is, you gotta stay positive. You gotta stay positive out there in the marketplace on social media. Don't get caught up in what the media is saying, okay? They're trying to sell what? Say it again. They're trying to sell advertising. They want to keep you glued to the TV. They have to do it. That's how they stay in business. And congrats to them. They all do a very good job. And when I say all, I mean all of them. No matter which channel is your favorite channel that you watch, they all do it, okay? So, here's what Ben Bernanke said. Now, if you remember Ben, he was the head, he was the Fed chief, if you remember him back in the day before Mr. Powell. And so it says, my results do suggest that in the absence of the panic, the fear, right? The panic, the declines in employment, consumption, and output in the early stages of the Great Recession, we're talking about 2008 again, guys, would have been significantly less severe. In the absence of panic, we as the agents have to calm people. Look, you want to have another 2008? Go ahead and just keep breathing what the media is feeding out there to people without any of this fact-based data. Keep breathing that stuff to people, and yeah, you can have yourself another 2008. Trust me, agents, you don't want that. Our agent count in Columbus went from 8,000 agents in one year to 2,500 the next. Yeah, those were 5,500 agents out of 8,000 did not renew their license. In other words, they were thinking that to pay their license fee to the MLS and to the OAR and the NAR would have cost them more than what they would have made in commission. That's how bad it was, okay? If you want to have that again, panic the public. Go ahead and get out there and give them some panic. We don't want that. Let's show them these charts and things like that. In fact, I got a special surprise coming for you at the end. I should have told you at the beginning, but I got something for you for free coming up here in just a second, because you probably wonder, well, how can I get all this data out? I'm going to show it to you, okay? So Sarah Wheeler with Housing Wire says, how can you differentiate yourself during a pandemic? How can you differentiate yourself? Well, you can create educational content that keeps your clients and prospects informed during these dark times. But you're probably like, I don't want to go out and create all these charts and everything like that. Oh my gosh, this is a ton of work. Well, I'm going to show you here how you can prospect for leads, nurture those leads, and close those leads. And you can do it through a company called Keeping Current Matters. I do not work for Keeping Current Matters. I am a realtor, but you can try Casey, and this is my gift to you. I should have told you at the very beginning that I have a free gift for you at the end, but you can get a 14-day free trial and a $25 gift card to cover your first months with them if you use that link right there down below. Full disclosure, if you do use the link, you get your 14 days free, and it's going to pay for a month, so you'll get 6 weeks free of this to go out and prospect for leads and nurture the leads and close the leads. And full disclosure, I get a gift card that covers a month for me too. So there you go. It's a win-win for everybody around, but just like make sure people know that. That is what's called an affiliate link. If you go with KCM, you'll get one too. You share it with people and you get a free month also. But it's a monthly subscription, month to month. They prepare all of this stuff for you. They give you a script and things to read and do this so that you can get the word out into the marketplace. It is our job as realtors, absolutely our job for us to talk to the public with data. We got to give them data, and we need to shoot it to them straight, but we need to also comfort them. Here's what I liken it to is this. If you're on a plane, right, and you get on the plane and you're flying across the country, and all of a sudden the plane starts shaking violently. It's going crazy. It's throwing you around the cabin, right? What would you do if that just happened out of the blue? You'd freak out, right? I mean, like, it would freak you out. You might scream. People would start having panic, right? It could get real ugly real quick on the plane. But what would happen if the pilot came on? So look, this is your captain. This is Captain Jim. Just want to let you know here, I need people to sit down, put their seatbelts on. We're going to be coming across some turbulence. It may get severe in a second, get a little bumpy, but we're going to be taking the actions to get it corrected. It's going to be happening. Strap in, hang on. I'll let you know we're through it and it's safe to get up and move around again. What's going to happen? The plane's going to shake violently and things like that. You might still be a little nervous and anxious, but because they set the expectations and told you it was coming and letting you know that we're going to get out of it, you feel better about it because you know it's coming. That's what we've got to do as agents. We are the trusted professionals. We're the ones that have to help guide our people through it, our little local sphere. We're the ones who know what's going on in our locale, and we can do it by doing little informational videos like this. You can record it, you can put it on your YouTube, you can put it on your social media, and you'll be the trusted professional. And if you really want to get crazy with it, you can actually go to the media, and they have a media package that you can do, and you can actually use the charts from Keeping Current Matters, and the media will interview you, and you might even get yourself on TV or something like that, which in turn helps you also grow your business. So I want to thank you for jumping on. Again, if you want to use that link, here it is again. You can take a quick picture of it, and I'll flash it back up there again for you. It's just trykcm.com, and it's the affiliate link at the end, A74094. So good luck to all of you out there. If you're an agent, you're not with eXp Realty. This was going out to 29,000 eXp agents, but if for some reason you got this and you're an agent, you're not with eXp Realty, get back to the person that invited you to watch this video if you'd like to see what eXp has to offer. We have a great collaborative experience to help each other out. We say this, that a rising tide floats all boats in eXp, and we're all trying to help each other do better. We're making real estate fun again. And if you're not, wasn't sent to you by another realtor, Stacey and I would love to talk to you no matter where you are in the country. We would love to talk to you. In fact, in the world, as we expand now into Mexico, South Africa, Germany, and France, we're already in the UK and Australia, as we grow, and Canada, as we grow, we'd love to talk to you about being partners. We don't want to be your boss. We'd like to be partnered with you in real estate and help you grow your business where you're at. And together, all of us can win, as we're all owners we have ownership in eXp Realty with these shares of stock. So thank you for jumping on. Have a great one. Share this thing to your other agents. Let's get the word out, man. Let's not have another 2008 just because of the fear and the panic. People don't need to be afraid. It's going to be down, but it's going to come back up, and it's going to come back up even faster and better than before. So thanks a lot. Have a great one.